No, I'm downstairs, so I've got Sky on, so I can watch the auction while we talk about it, which is probably quite a good thing. So.
Oh, we've got Foxtel on here in Australia. We've got that on as well. I was quite shocked. Didn't realise that it was on. I was trying to get to Vastas to give us his link, which he did. Some Star Sports, not Star Sports, another platform. Anyway, you and I, Chris. I mean, a lot of people are probably watching the auction actually while we're talking, which is fine. This is Norman Kochnek here, and I'm with Chris Vernon. We might be getting some more, excuse me, more people through the night. My Twitter handle is not Norm KOCJ, it's KOCH. I've done that deliberately so as to see people make mistakes or at least ask. I must let you know, viewers, to be honest with you, I've had a pretty ordinary afternoon. My mother collapsed about 4 or 5 hours ago and she went into hospital, and I've only just come away from the hospital now. She's under observation overnight. It's pretty frustrating for me, as you would imagine, but at the same time, I can spend an hour here and try to get my mind off things a little bit. But so my mother's, she's in hospital. Not anything too serious, but she did collapse, which you never really know what that means. Is approaching 90. It's not exactly young. So guys, bear with me if I might not seem 100%. It's probably because my thoughts are not always on this today. But we've had some amazing. I have been watching the auction amazingly in Australia, Foxtel, and in England. What was it again, Chris? What's your broadcast platform?
Sky Sports. It's Sky Sports, which is it's exactly the same as Foxtel when I was in Australia. It's exactly the same thing, just called something slightly different. So.
Yeah. So effectively, those platforms are there. And it's been live in Australia. It's just come off a break. I find it intriguing. Do you know the auctioneer's name? He's obviously English.
No, I don't think he's English. He doesn't look, well, he might be. I don't think he's got I don't know who he is. If I'm not looking at the camera, people watching, I've actually got the auction on my telly so I can watch and do both. But no, it's the first time I've really ever watched an auction. I've been following the IPL for over 10 years, and it's the first time I've ever sat down and actually watched it. So it's a new thing for me as well. But it's quite a slow process, especially with like the big name all rounders, isn't it? They don't rush it like a car auction or something. So no, it's interesting. I mean, I'm enjoying it so far, that's for sure.
And they're quite happy to stop bidding on a player.
Yeah, they've obviously got their limits. I'm assuming that a lot of the sides have predetermined who they want to go for and who they're going to bid for and how much for, and they're pretty strict, budget-wise, not to go over that. So
that's true. And some of them don't bid early; they bid late as well, which is a typical auction tactic. Anyway. And the thing is, I noticed there's Vivius Luxman was on one of the panels I saw, and I think Zahir Khan was also on one of the panels.
Zahir Khan's good.
I think that's good because I don't quite understand why you wouldn't have a cricket person on the panel to be discerning, to make a last-minute decision, which they may have to make. You can't be just a non-cricketer, can you? Because you want to know the cricketer's quality.
Yeah,
it's not just money. But I found it interesting. So far, Maxwell's been the highest bid.
No, Chris Morris broke the record for the most expensive player in IPL history, which is a surprise. And Jai Richardson went for a really high price as well. So I mean, fair play to those guys. It seems to be that I've followed a little bit on Twitter that the first round of auctions, the sides tend to want to get their fast bowlers in. I don't know what the Indian viewers and guys watching thinks, but it seems to be that they want to get their big all-rounders or the quick bowlers in before then looking at sort of the specialist batsmen, specialist bowlers. So hence why, Jai Richardson, the Big Show, Glenn Maxwell and Chris Morris have gone for such a high price.
They did the spinners just the last round. That was the spinners, wasn't it? They went through all the spinners in one block.
Yeah.
And that was pretty, there's a few that were passed in there, at least the first round. So I saw Chris Morris's bidding. That was quite feverish, wasn't it? There was quite a few bidding for him. quite intensely, actually. But how much, I still struggle with the crores and how much it's actually worth.
Yeah, and so do I. I've just been following on Twitter. It's easy. The problem is, I think for me, it's easy. I can understand how much a crore is worth because everything's done in crores, but then they're bidding in lakhs or whatever. So trying to convert it back and forth. Sorry. So it's, if they did it all in crores because their budgets are in crores, they say how much they cost in crores. It would be easier for me to work out if they did it all in the same thing, if that makes sense. But
I think a lakh is 100,000.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, okay. So what? So 1,000. So yeah, 1,000 lakhs is $1 million, I think, because that's 1 crore. I think that's how I look at it.
So effectively, you're saying a crore is $1 million US.
I think so. Well, I'm not too sure. As always, we're providing a fully fully qualified and accurate, accurate presentation.
Sanjeev, I need a Sanjeev, but actually, he says 1 crore is 10 million. Okay, that makes more sense. And the auctioneer from Kunal Sud auctioneer is Hugh Edmonds, which sounds British to me. So good on you guys for letting us know. The reality is that, and also thank you, Sanjeev, for wishing my mother well. I appreciate that. You've said that's a very nice comment that you made as well. So it's not Sanjeev. You're saying it's Sanijev. So what does it mean if it's not Sanjeev? So maybe my eyes are deceiving me. Okay. Again, my Twitter is not Norm Koch J. It's Koch with a H. So be wary of that too. So actually, they're saying that 738 lakhs is effectively $1 million US. It's interesting. It's very complicated. I mean, I still think it is. I know they may be more used to it than us, but okay. Surprises. Any surprise? What's your surprises so far?
Chris Morris, I think. For
sure.
He was released by RCB, I think, and then they started bidding on him as well. I'm fairly sure. So it seems odd that they would release. So I'm assuming that they might have released him, thinking they might be able to get him quite cheap as a pickup. But you know, for him to go, you know, I would say that over the last few years he's done well in the IPL when he's played, but he certainly hasn't been, you know, last couple of years especially. I wouldn't say he's been a first name on the team sheet overseas. He's been in and out and a bit of everything. So for him to be the most expensive player in IPL history is crazy, really. Fair play to him. You know, that's a lot of money. You know, I'd happily go into that auction and be picked up for that. But you know,
Maxwell was overpriced.
Yeah, I think that for what he is and what he's proven to be, you know, he's had a good big bash. He's done it for Australia, and he's had good IPLs in the past. I think sides, if they've got the money to spend, want to spend it on someone they know that can deliver, not someone unknown. So I get why he's gone for that price. I think that he probably is overpriced, but if RCB, and we spoke about it yesterday, they've released a few players. They obviously want to reshuffle, and they need some big match winning performers in there, and he's one of the best in the business, isn't he? With bat and ball.
On his day. Okay. I mean, Steve Smith went for basically what he was asking for.
Yeah. I think that he's just, although he's a really good on the reputation side of things, I think that he doesn't bowl. You know, his batting is, although he's a very fine 2020 cricketer, he's not one of the explosive 2020 cricketers that you get. So I get why he was possibly released. I think that Rajasthan are going to potentially target someone else, and I understand that. So yeah, he was always going to get picked up, and what a good find for is it Delhi that he went to?
Yeah, Shaban Dangar, he talked about the overpricing of Maxwell, and I have to agree. The Delhi Capitals are impressing me with their purchases so far. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, they had a very strong squad last year. They came runners up, didn't they? I think they were Mumbai in the final. They just got a good squad, haven't they? And I guess they're in a good position where they don't have to make big money moves. They can sort of pick and choose and strengthen their squad accordingly. So they're going to go well again, aren't they?
Yeah. Aparna, welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you guys?
Great. You've been watching the auction on Foxtel?
Yeah, it's absolutely pouring down here. It's windy and it's miserable. So, yeah, hence why the hoodie and the hat's on.
Music Harmony is asking about David Milan, and I think it was a shocker.
Yeah, you know, for a tournament like the IPL, and it will be the same for the World T20 and for Football World Cup, for a Rugby World Cup, for any sport, you want to go in with form. I think that's a thing that people miss out a lot on. It's you want to pick guys who are in good form. And Darren Milan, without a doubt, in the last 2 or 3 years, has been the most consistent performer in 2020 cricket in the world. You know, he's #1 in the rankings. He's been very good. He's had a good big bash. He's done very well for England. So I would have expected him to go a bit higher. But I mean, what a great steal for the side that picked him up. I think it was Kings 11 or Punjab. Sorry,
Punjab Kings.
Punjab Kings. Sorry, going to take a little while to get used to that. But no, fantastic for him. I mean, and I really hope that he goes and puts his foot down, and next year onwards and upwards. And he, you know, the good thing for the Indian fans is that hopefully they're going to see him bat a lot in the 2020 series coming up against England. And there might be some IPL franchises left scratching their heads there. They didn't maybe put in a higher bid for him.
James Vince is in Pakistan. He's at the PSL supervisor, which is I don't know whether he got paid a princely sum to go there. He probably did.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of money there, but
because they have to try to match the IPL in a way, slightly different timing, but still.
Yeah.
Okay. Aparna, I'm getting all sorts of measurements of the crore. I've got here Sandu saying it's 178,000 Australian dollars. What is it? Do you know? Do you have an idea?
100 and what?
How much is 1 crore?
1 crore is hang on, I knew it. I think it's 200,000, 200,000, something like that.
20,000 Australian dollars.
200,000 Australian dollars. So
Okay,
1 crore is nearly 200,000 Australian.
Okay, so it's in the 175, 200,000 mark. We're getting 178, but okay. So, for example, Steve Smith got 2.2 crore, didn't he, Chris?
yeah, it makes sense that that's 220,000, not 2.2 million. But yeah, we'll just have to go with it and just say that the bigger numbers are obviously more.
Well, no, but I mean, like, so once
the big show went for 2.5 million Australian. That's Australian.
Yeah.
That was 14.75 crores or something like that.
Yes.
I mean, that's a fantastic amount of money. Yeah, so 1 crore is approximately £1 million. So, okay. I mean, it's. I mean, there's people in the chat box. I'm just reading the comments, but no, these guys are. It's fantastic to see that they're making good money, isn't it? As much as anything, you know, it's their careers, and it's a fairly short, unglamorous career often as a professional sportsman with the amount of work they put in and injuries that can happen and end your career. So, I mean, fair play to these guys going and earning so much money for doing something that they enjoy doing.
So it's effectively the 13th or 14th year now. That's a long stint. 2008
was the first one.
So effectively that's 14 years actually. If you include 08, 09, 10, 11, yeah, that's actually 14th year. Amazing. Okay, so getting off price for a moment, the spinning department, there seems to be a lack of interest in spinners.
I think that the way that the IPL has gone in the last few years, if you look at all the big name, if you look at Pat Cummins last year, this year Chris Morris, and Jai Richardson, the years before, you know, you've had Rabada, Norkia gone for big money. Then you've got the Indian guys like Bumrah. Those sort of guys. It seems to me that in round 1 of the auction, that sides have a massive. They want to tie their fast bowling up, and that's why the big money tends to go early, because that's when they've got their full quota of money to spend. And I think you'll see that in the second and is there a third round? In the second round, for sure. That a lot of the spinners will start getting picked up. If you see so far, it's a lot of the bowlers, a lot of the all-rounders and the fast bowlers go for big money, because I think that's where, if you look at the sides that tend to win an IPL, they've all got good batting, but it tends to be that they have fast bowlers at the top of the wickets. Same with the Big Bash, another 2020 comp. So that's why they tend to get a premium price, and then the spinners tend to come in in the later rounds.
Even Sachin Tendulkar's son's there. Norman, you're on mute.
Oh, very good reason why I'm on mute, because I've just been called by the hospital. So I'm sorry about that, guys. But my mother's overnight in hospital. They're just giving me an update. The bloods and all have been checked. They're doing further tests. So the lady was nice. So I don't normally take a call. Sorry.
She okay?
Yeah, I've been in the hospital for the last 3 or 4 hours actually before coming.
Which hospital? She had told me. I'll come and.
She's at St. Vincent's. St. Vincent's.
That's.
Yeah, sorry guys, that was a call I had to go off mute to get. That was, I'm glad I answered it because it was a strange number. All right. So I heard all what you were saying though, Chris. You've got a very good handle on what's going on. My only disappointment is when I watch the auction, I don't quite get a gist of reasoning. They ought to be more open with what they're doing. That's my thoughts.
What side saying why they're going for that player and why they're going? Yeah, the problem is it
would make great theatre, because once they've got someone, they could say, "We got him for this reason." I'd love to know that.
I'm sure that they will come out after the auction. Obviously, at the moment, they're still probably in the deep dark discussions around the table about who they're going to get and the tactics behind it. And there was an interview in the breaks. They have had interviews with 2 or 3 guys explaining why they wanted that player, or. But it's just the balance and the makeup of their squads, really, isn't it? I think that we've gone through the sides so far in our.
You've been pretty spot on, actually. You've been pretty spot on. Just quickly, Kyle Jamieson is going to be hot property.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, who was it? Yeah, Music Harmony, who has declined to give us his full name, I think, in the chats we saw yesterday. So he's the mystery man, Music Harmony. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he goes. I mean, he's had a great start to his test career, but, pretty much in New Zealand conditions so far against sides that have been susceptible to his bowling, the Pakistan sides or other teams. So his sort of bowling tool with bounce in India isn't always effective. He's going to be effective on quicker green seaming wickets where he can move and it can go through at pace, whereas it might be that in the IPL that his bowling is enjoyed more by batsmen because they can like pace on the ball, can't they? So I don't expect him to go for a huge price, but I think that he'll get picked up by someone. Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong, but if you look at the guys who have gone for big prices, you've got Jai Richardson, Chris Morris. These are guys that have proven themselves in 2020 cricket.
But Jai Richardson really is not in good. He's come off injury and he's not anywhere near his best.
Yeah, but he was leading wicket taker in the Big Bash, wasn't he? Quite comfortably.
So they're going. He didn't bowl well towards the end of he didn't bowl that well.
Yeah, but the numbers back up, don't they? So they go. As I said, it's sometimes as a form pick. An injury-wise, as long as you only need 4 overs, a 4-over burst out of him. He's got good slow balls. He's got good skills at the death, and that's what they look for, isn't it? If you look at who are the best bowlers in that IPL side in the IPL last couple of years, Rabada, Jofra Archer, Jasprit Bumrah, they all bowl 1 or 2 overs at the top and take early wickets, and they also bowl at the death and have good Yorkers, good slow balls.
Even Aussies that didn't get sold. I think Aaron Finch, he didn't get sold yet.
That's right.
Yeah, and Alex Carey.
Exactly. Interesting, because I mean, to me, that's. I know there's this. Chris was saying earlier, Aparna, about there being a second round, but that's going to really.
Yeah.
Be picking up chips, won't they? Really, they're not going to be paying very much.
Yeah. Go on, Aparna.
Yeah, I think it's not good for the players on them thinking that they did not get picked at the first place. I mean, it's really like, oh, okay, you left. I'm not sure if that's going to happen because that's always a choice. I think it's not definite that there would be a second and they would get picked in that second round.
Out of the 292 players they're going through, which is going to take a marathon, 5 hours or something?
I think it's still going.
Oh, it's definitely still going.
Yeah, so now. No, I think with the rounds, I would assume that players like Aaron Finch, because Sam Billings didn't get sold in the first round, that they would probably understand the process, and they've probably been told by agents or sides. Rajasthan Royals, I think, picked up Chris Morris, and in the interview in between, they said we've spoken to Chris Morris before the tournament, before the auction, and made sure he's fit and healthy. So I'm guessing the players have an idea who might be keen on them to come in, and with the rounds of the auction, they probably are aware. Aaron Finch is probably aware that the first round sides are looking to pick up big fast bowlers or all-rounders. So although they might be disappointed they haven't gone, I'm assuming that they might be aware that how it works, and that they're likely to get picked up in the second round when sides have a more idea on their money. They're not going to go and spend, a big sum on Aaron Finch when they want to pick up a Jai Richardson. So they're going to want to pick Jai Richardson up first, and then see what they've got left for the other guys in the second and subsequent rounds.
Hales will go. Alex Hales will. Someone's going to pick him up for sure.
I would be. I mean, it's the mystery man, Music Harmony. Yeah, he's going to be mystery man for me from now on. I would be staggered if Alex Hales doesn't go and is a very popular pick. In my opinion, he's in the top 3 2020 opening bats in the world comfortably. Another bonus is that he's in form. And he's going to be available for the whole tournament. Other English players have been told that they can stay and miss the New Zealand Test series if their side makes the finals, which is ridiculous. I think it's complete rubbish. But
Actually, sorry.
That's good. But yeah, I think he's there for the whole tournament. He's in form, and he's a fairly formidable player. So, I mean, you can see a lot of sides being very, very keen to pick up his services, and I'd be amazed if he isn't a very popular pick.
Yeah, Azzaruddin, I can see that Music Harmony, and I've also just witnessed it too. 20 lakhs, it's cheap. He's a great talent. He's still unknown, really, but the talent's there. The name certainly sits well. It's got a great history of the name.
Interesting aspect. Do you think it'd be very hard for them to pick, because they haven't played a lot of cricket? I mean, since the COVID hit.
Very hard. Very hard.
So they actually, you never know. I mean, they might think it, but they haven't watched them play any other matches since the IPL. I think IPL was the biggest event for a lot of Indian players who didn't play with Australia and a few others. So it'll be a bit hard for them to pick.
Well, if a person goes cheaply, it's worth a gamble. If he's going cheaply, it's worth a gamble. Clearly. Well, the other person who I'm intrigued about, there hasn't been much commentary about him at all. I'm just trying to look through the commentary. Oh, Shakib Al Hasan, he went early.
Yeah, Kolkata, I think he went to.
That's a great pick.
Guys like that are always going to be very popular. Spinning guys that can, and he's proven in the IPL. He's had good seasons before. Guys like him, and to a certain extent, Moeen Ali, who can sort of bat anywhere in the top 7 and then can bowl good overs, is a real bonus for those guys. Sides that tend to, it's interesting when you look at certain sides. You've got like the Mumbai Indians or Delhi, who go very much sort of polarised their overseas. They had 2 or 3 just out and out fast bowlers. They had Rabada and Norkia, for example, as their overseas, and then tend to have sort of the Indian guys in the middle, whereas some sides tend to just load up the overseas. Kolkata have Andre Russell, Sunil Narine, guys like that. So to have someone in the middle order like an all-rounder who can bat 1 to 6 and bowl overs and take 4 or 5 wickets is a massive bonus, I think, for these sides.
I'm liking Delhi Capitals. The more I see their team, I'm liking them the most. What's your thoughts? What's shaping up?
I put Kolkata Knight Riders.
Of course, they make wise choices.
There are so many strong, Kolkata, if they can hit form, the video we did last year, they've got Shubman Gill, or pretty sure one of the 2 opens the batting for them. Andre Russell last year had a poor tournament. But it's every side here is, if they pick right and they have a good auction, that you can make a case for any of them winning. I'd love to see RCB win it. they've always had strong batting, and their bowling seems to be heavily weighted to the Indian sort of guys. You've got Saini, Siraj, Chalal. So if they can pick up a couple of good match finishers like Glenn Maxwell that they have, and maybe another batter or a bowler, then I think they could be a proper force with Kohli, De Villiers and Maxwell in there. If they can add a top quality bowler, or maybe even a Alex Hales, then they can be. They've always had powerhouse batting. Even back in the days of Chris Gale, Brendan McCullum. I think one year they had Chris Gale, Brendan McCullum, Kohli, and De Villiers, and unbelievable top 4 or 5. But
that's the problem, though, Chris. You should never stack a team full of champion players. Why? Because they don't do that collectively. Very rarely they click. It's just a fact. You need certain, like a balance of play. You don't need all champions, because that never works. I don't know of any side that's had all champions that have performed in a cohesive manner as a team. And that's the other issue I wanted to bring up. And I think it's one of the most significant ones. I never hear anyone talk about it. When you put these teams together through an auction, I appreciate the costings and the quality of the players, etc., who's in form. But the team is more relevant. If they don't gel, I don't care how much you pay for them or how good they are individually. They've got to be a team. And when you throw too many players in a good side in one season, they're going to need a couple of seasons to get their act together, at the very least. Don't you think, Chris?
Yeah, I do agree. I think that 2020, or the shorter the format is, then less need for that. I don't disagree. I think that the sides that typically get let down in the IPL are sides that don't have the strong bowling units. It's easy to get 200 every game, but if your bowling sides are going for 220, then you're not going to win many games. But if you can put 140, 150 on the board, and you've got a high class bowling attack, then you're going to win. So I think that it's just all about having a good balance. And I know what you mean about team cohesion, but I think the shorter format, you can afford to have big players and just rely on their skills and their talent to get you out. But I've just seen Vishal Malik said that Mark Wood will be expensive. Mark Wood's actually he pulled out of the auction last night or this morning or yesterday. He wants to spend more time with his family at home in England, so he's not in the auction. He's decided against playing, which is a shame for him. But I get it. I think that they said that the English guys, if they stay out here for the one days and the T20s, they won't go home till June. Which, when you've gone away in February to Sri Lanka, to have 5 months away in a subcontinent, which is very different to England in terms of lifestyle, weather, food, lots of different things, missing your family, then I think that I understand where he's coming from, and he wants to be fresh and ready to play the summer back home.
Okay, that's a very fair comment. Look, so I keep coming back to James Lynch. He must have got an early deal settled with the PSL, because I'm shocked he's not here. He would have gone for a lot of money.
But they won't overlap. I'm sure Alex Hales will be there. I'm sure Chris Gale will be there. I'm sure a lot of the players in the IPL will be out in Pakistan right now. So maybe he just wasn't entered, or there must be a reason behind it. And maybe he's just come out of nowhere. Maybe you had to be entered in the IPL auction before the Big Bash, or I'm not sure how it works. So he just had a good Big Bash, hasn't he? And you'd have thought that someone might have picked him up in the IPL. But apart from that, I wouldn't say he's been he hasn't played for England in 2020 cricket for a while. So I get why he might not be there. It depends on the timing, really, and if he got into the auction in time.
I actually spent the day prior to my mother's problem at the SCG. And there was a game between New South Wales and Victoria, and there were no less than 15 Australian players on the field.
I saw Nathan Lyon got six for not many, didn't he?
He bowled pretty well, but the wicket was pretty much in his favour. But it was interesting because New South Wales, star-studded batting lineup that they had, could barely get 150 odd in the first innings, and then admittedly Victoria didn't do much better. But what I'm getting, I spoke to Daniel Lane, who's the media manager currently for New South Wales, a good friend of mine. I'm trying to arrange to get a hold of some of the IPL players that are in that New South Wales Victorian makeup, such as Stark. I think, is Hazelwood on what's Hazelwood's story? Is he? He's already been picked up, hasn't he?
I don't know if he's definitely played before. I think he was with Chennai, maybe. I think
he's in the team. He's not a part of this auction.
Riley Meredith currently going for a decent, started at 40 lakhs and is up to 200 lakhs at the moment. So, and again, showing sides want to get their big, quick, fast bowlers in, X factor kind of guys. So good for him. He's come out of the woodwork recently, hasn't he? Probably his first main this year in the Big Bash. So, he's going for 240 lakhs at the moment. So good luck to him.
Not sure. Delhi Capitals is in the mix. Yeah. I really like the way I'm watching Delhi Capitals a lot. They're bidding very well.
I think they're in a good position, Delhi, where they retain a lot of their squad. They've got a very settled all-round squad, and they had a smaller purse, but they can afford to be picky and to go for who they want. They're not in a position where they have to panic. They know that they've got a big, good bone structure there. So
I'm going to make an early bid. I'm going to say Delhi Capitals are a chance this season.
Yeah, and they were runners up last year. Or they got to the final last year. I mean, Riley Meredith's being very popular here. Good luck to him. Fair play. Going for 500 lakhs at the moment. So yeah.
Aparna, you're going to say something?
Well, I think some of the Indians players that you have to look out for is Umesh Yadav. I think he's taken 119 wickets in 121 matches in IPL. And,
very impressive.
And also Arjun Tendulkar, who is the son of Sachin Tendulkar, as we know, and young fresh talent. He's one to look out for. I think even Kedar Devtar. He's taken 8 matches. He's made 249 runs with a strike rate of 99. That's incredible, I think.
That's amazing.
Chetas Pujara, another one with a 99 strike rate with the bat. That's these sort of people, I think, would be someone that you would want to look out for. They can add something to your team. I mean.
Absolutely. Arjun Tendulkar, Chris, just for your sake, and he came to Masala Theory there in Sydney, and he's such a lovely guy, such a down to earth young kid, despite coming from a Tendulkar family. He doesn't show it. He mixes, he laughs, he carries on. Such a great bloke, and he could bat as well as bowl. He's extremely tall.
Left arm.
Yeah, medium fast. Yeah, absolutely. He's a tremendous player. Because he's got the name Tendulkar, it really does affect him, as you would imagine. But he's got talent. He deserves to be there. Yeah, he's not there as a former token player. He really deserves to be there.
He's in the lowest category of auction bid. I mean, I think it's a 50... I think it's a 50 lakhs?
Yeah, 50 lakhs.
Yeah, so, but that's fine. I mean, he's a fresh talent. You always have to, look out for. And I'm pretty sure he can add something to the team, and actually good for the with the money. I mean, they can have more people. They're saving money, and rather than just all going for the big ones. That's what I think anyway. But let's see who gets Arjun Tendulkar. That'd be interesting to watch.
I mean, he'll probably just quietly. I think he'll end up with Mumbai Indians at that small price.
Yeah,
they'll because of his dad's influence.
Or he'll go with Delhi, I think.
I'm really. My prediction is, Chris, I've got a strong feeling about Delhi Capitals this year.
No, they're a safe bet. I'd like to see. Yeah, it's tough. I think that it just depends who hits the ground running with form. Often you see Mumbai Indians in the last few years when they've won it started quite slowly. So it's such a long group stage that sides can afford not to hit the ground running. You don't have to be in form the whole time. So no, I'm just looking forward to it starting, really. I think that depends on who picks up who in the last sort of couple of picks, and someone like an Alex Hales or a Jason Roy, if they're in form, could be a difference, sort of a game changer, make a big difference to some of these sides. But often it comes down to the young, the Indian sort of uncapped players who are the surprise packages. I think RCB last year had Adikal, maybe, who opened the batting, sort of came from obscurity. Yeah, so I think it just comes down to who's on form. But Delhi Capitals are going to make a big claim. They've got a pretty good settled side, but there's so many good players and so many good teams in that makeup that it just comes down to who can be on form at the time, really.
Just to correct, I think it's 20 lakhs for Arjun Tendulkar.
20 lakhs, okay. Samson, he's a bit of a star, isn't he? Chris?
Yeah, he's quality, and he's obviously replaced Steve Smith, hasn't he, as captain at Rajasthan. For the last few years, I've been a big fan of his. He's often been in my fantasy side. He's a bit of an X factor. I'd like to see him maybe playing a bit more in an Indian shirt, but I think he has played a little bit in the white ball format. So it'll be good to see him playing maybe against England in the upcoming one-day series. But he's someone that can win you a game and score quick hundreds. And the fact that he was battling someone like Josh Butler at the top of the order in an IPL in a 2020 competition just shows how good they rate him and how highly. I don't know how highly they rate Josh Butler, and he's proven how much he can win games of cricket. So Andrew Sampson's definitely got that sort of X factor about him as well.
Aparna, what's your team?
Kolkata Knight Riders or Delhi Daredevils, but I'll go with Kolkata.
No, Delhi Capitals now. Delhi Capitals.
Yeah, sorry, but Kolkata Knight Riders is my favorite. I don't know why, but I think they've won a couple of times as well. But that's not the thing.
Because they've got an English captain.
Sorry, Chris.
It's because they've got an English captain. That's why you like Kolkata.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Must be.
No, I like Kolkata. I mean,
it's always good to see. Since we got independence, they come and rule some team or something like that again. It's good. Old memories.
Well, they're not quite brutal.
I think it shows where the game's gone. I think if you'd have gone back to 2008 or the early years in the IPL, it would have been a very heavily Indian contingent with captains and everything like that. But the fact that Kane Williamson's captain Sunrisers, or David Warner, sorry, Owen Morgan is at Owen Morgan's with Kolkata. It just shows how much the overseas cricket is valued in India as well, and I think that's great to see.
Oh, it certainly is. It's very bold of India to have non-Indian captains because there's such a following for Indian captains, and you would argue the financial side of having a non-Indian captain is a bit of a downer for teams. They love to have your Kohlis and your Rohit Sharmas, but Delhi impresses me no end. I keep looking at the auction. I spent a lot of time with Delhi, and Delhi seem to be the most discerning buyer so far. They've got a few of the Indian players coming through now. I haven't seen Saini or Siraj picked up. Those two haven't been picked up, have they?
I'm pretty sure they got retained by RCB. I know that Siraj. Okay. I'm pretty sure Siraj did. That's their biggest problem is the biggest problem RCB, in my opinion, over the last few years has been their bowling. So they need to iron out. I think they need to try and target a big overseas fast bowler and go from there, because they've now got De Villiers, Maxwell as their two of their overseas. They're going to play every game, so they've got a couple more slots. I thought they might have targeted someone like Milan, but we'll see. I think they might. They went for Jai Richardson quite heavily. I think them and the Punjab Kings were the two in for the bidding for him, but obviously that he was slightly too expensive in the end. And Punjab, who have got a very big purse, got their man. So I think that you might see them try and pinch another overseas fast bowler and see if they can strengthen there.
I just love watching the auction for two reasons. Some panels have all got masks on. The next panel, no one's got a mask on. It's rather bizarre.
I think that they're wearing it just as much as if other tables can't see them talking during a bid. It's you can't see what they're saying. So interesting to see that some of the panels have. The Rajasthan have got a young English guy on the panel. RCB have got a Kiwi, I think, or an Australian guy on the panel. It's interesting to see the mix of people on the boards who are making the decisions.
Oh, Delhi Capitals, just the body language that I watch them now. I think of the body language, the way they talk. There's a lot of consensus. It's very, and they're quite smug with their smiling at the moment, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, look, again, Mumbai Indians. I argue they won't win it again. Not because it's not good enough. I think it's very hard to win 3 in a row.
Yeah, just as I said, they've got some really high quality. I think that the reason they've done well is that they've got a lot of high quality Indian players in their side, and all the sides have good overseas. But often, you can't win a game or you can't win a tournament with 4 good overseas. You've got to have, your Indian spine of that side, and they've got. Often you talk about a football pitch, a football team, the spine of the side is the goalie, a centre defender, a midfield and attacker. And if you look at the Mumbai Indian side, their spine is Sharma, Pandya, Bumrah. You've got an opening bat, you've got an all-rounder, and you've got a fast bowler. So they've got 3 guys there that, really help construct that side. And then you can put the overseas in around. And they've had, Krunal Pandya last few years. They've had other good Indian guys coming through. So Surya Yadav, someone will correct me for my pronunciation, but he's been a mainstay and scored runs. So when you've got 3 or 4 high quality homegrown Indians there, that's in my opinion why they've been such a mainstay and such a strong team in the last few years, is because they've got those guys to rely on. And then when you add a Quinton de Kock in at the top, you add a Trent Bolton as well, it really starts to look a very strong outfit.
But they've got a consistency again in the makeup. It's happened on a regular basis. Delhi Capitals, as you said, have retained quite a few as well. They've picked well this time. That's a good sign. The ones that have gone for whole bowlers changes, they must be looking a couple of years down the track. They can't be looking just this season, surely. All right, how are we going with comments? Let's have a look at a few extra ones there. There's a lot about comment about fixed IPL matches. I'm not going to entertain that conversation because I really, first of all, hope not.
Yeah.
And secondly,
I think that's all we need to say. I think let's just go with let's hope not, and hope that we don't. I agree with you. Let's not. I think that you open a can of worms when you start talking about stuff and completely. Who knows? I mean, let's just say let's hope not, and let's enjoy the cricket for what it is.
Exactly. So,
I have a comment here from a Music Harmony Mystery Man. What's your take on Tom Banton not participating in this year's IPL? Chris and Norman, it's a shame. I think that he's got a good career in front of him. He's a very exciting prospect. I know that he was with Kolkata last year. I think he struggled a little bit.
Oops, I made a mistake there. I've accidentally blocked someone, which I didn't want to do. I hit the button. I must apologise. How do you undo that?
I don't know. It comes up as Music Harmony. Click on it, right-click his name, maybe.
No, I've mucked it up. Music Harmony, if you're listening, I did not mean to block you. I hit the button wrongly, so I'm going to have to adjust that. So,
no, I think with Tom Banton, to answer the question, I think he struggled a little bit with the bubbles and the biosecure stuff. In South Africa, he came home from the Big Bash. I think because he was struggling a bit. So it's tough. And, I can see why these guys, for the Big Bash, it was 2 weeks in a hotel room when you couldn't leave just to be able to play. So it takes its toll, I think. And you're a long time away from your family. And it's a shame to see him not there. But I think he'll be one for future IPLs for sure.
I've got no idea how to get that person back, and I'm very sorry for that.
Poor Music Harmony.
I didn't even realise I did it. I have never even tried to do it, so I don't know how.
Can you right-click his name?
Well, I'm not in front of a computer. I'm in front of an iPhone. Okay. Can you do it?
Let me see. Might need to be on. Let me see if I can do it, and we'll keep talking.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Cameron Green has not been involved in this, and albeit he's a talent, he probably is a bit too early in his career. For some reason, they haven't included him. I'm sure he'll come up now. So anyway, I'll have to. The partner's back. So, all right.
Can you press and hold on his name, Norman?
I think Chris Joke.
Well, that box. Well, his box has got. I'm trying to click on his name. It's not coming up. It's not coming.
You can't hear me.
We can hear you. Norman's taken on a dictatorship role and has started blocking people by accident in the chat box. He's trying to. He's turning into Kim Jong Norman over there. So.
Second, I've got.
Let me look at some more comments then while I'm here by myself. What happened to Cameron Green? He's a pretty young guy who's not played a lot of international cricket, so he might get picked up by a side as a squad player. But he's sort of a guy that's got a lot of years ahead of him in IPL cricket. So I think initially, although it's great for these guys to get picked up by franchises, you don't necessarily want to rush them in. So. If he can get some experience as a squad player, then that's great for him. But if not, then I don't think he'll be too worried. The Curran brothers, I don't know what's happening with the Curran brothers. I know that Sam Curran was a highly popular pick for Chennai last year, so I'm sure that he might have been retained by Chennai. But if not, Tom Curran might struggle a bit more. I think that his bowling, although very good and highly rated, they might not see him as a high class option as an overseas pick.
Good point. Just looking through the commentary again, it's asking me how to undo it, but no. It's all you can do is you can't. It doesn't matter. We'll have to work it out. Poor music companies have to wait until the next call. He'll be right. Okay. So what the Curran brothers? We talked about the Curran brothers, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Briefly.
Why hasn't Kyle Jamieson come up yet? Why hasn't he come up yet?
I don't know. I assume he's just in a different pot. I know that they have different pots and different stages. So I think this goes on till 4:30 the auction. I think it's another 4 hours or something. So it's a pretty long day out. I don't know how he'll go. I think that his bowling might suit. I think the batters will be looking forward to potentially facing him. Bit more pace, a bit more bounce, and on Indian decks, that's what the likes of Rohit Sharma and those guys like to face. So typically, he's just not a massive experience in the white ball game, is he? So it'll be interesting to see if he does get picked up, how it goes. He's not. The guys that go well with the fast bowlers that go for big money tend to have large experience in white ball cricket. Your Jai Richardson has played a lot. Pat Cummins, Chris Morris, Jofra Archer. These guys have played a lot and are proven. So as an unproven guy, I'm sure he'll get picked up, but they might not be splashing too much cash on him.
Who is the expensive one? I think Chris Morris.
Yeah, most expensive player ever. I mean, good luck to Chris Morris.
Crore. He broke the record of Yuvraj Singh. I think for it was 16 crore. It was for
how much? How much?
16 crore. Yuvraj Singh's record. That was the highest, but now he's going for 16.25 crore. So just from
Jeez, it puts a lot of pressure on, doesn't it, for the season?
I mean, good luck
to
him.
The highest in the IPL history now.
Kohli, how much is he on?
Oh, he won't. I mean, I think he's the only player since the start that has always ever been with one franchise or something like that. There's something was said I saw. So, I mean, he'll be getting paid plenty, but he's never going to be in the auction, is he? He's just going to be retained by Bangalore, and he obviously loves playing with them. So,
so really the highest being Chris Morris doesn't necessarily include the ones that are retained. We don't really know what they're on.
No, he's highest. So no one else has got sold for that much. So including they're already been retained.
Okay.
So Yuvraj Singh got sold the highest for 16 crore. So that even if he gets retained or not, that's not the question here. The question is how much they're getting sold for in the first place. So that's 16.25 is the highest now in IPL history. I'm pretty sure. Isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's the highest sold at auction. So I mean, it might be bigger salaries elsewhere, but in terms of the auction, highest
Yeah,
sold.
that's
Yashwanth
right.
Mokkala saying that Dhoni was at the same franchise since the first IPL. Technically, I guess, but maybe I think that might be incorrect. Weren't Chennai Super Kings banned or kicked out for a
That's
couple of
right.
years because of the match?
That's right.
Because
He
of
moved away from.
match fixing. So he played at was it the Gujarat Lions? Maybe was he?
Yeah,
Was he
he
Gujarat
played
Lions?
somewhere else. Yeah.
Who were technically, I think, the Chennai Super Kings. But I guess if we're picking holes in it, yes, Wanth Mokkala, but technically hasn't represented the same franchise since the start.
Yeah. All right. We're getting any more results or any more players coming through?
It's on a break at the moment, from what I can see. So
Okay.
Yeah, well, Norman, I'm going to head off.
All right.
And I'll catch
Thanks,
up with
Aparna.
you when we have final who's with who.
So Kolkata Knight Riders are your pick at this
What about
early
you?
stage.
Norman,
I've said
you
Delhi.
guys-
I think Delhi Capitals, based on what I'm saying. I really do.
I'm going to wait
actually said
for my
Delhi.
decision after the end of the auction. I'm going to make my decision tomorrow when we speak, and we'll see what the sides are shaping up like, and I'll have a look.
What
My
about
heart
last
says
year?
RCB. RCB are going to make their first. They're going to lift. Cody's going to lift his first trophy.
And Norman, all the best for your mom.
Thank you, man.
For sure.
And we'll talk, yeah?
Okay, we'll talk.
All right.
All right, pal. Thanks for
Chris.
coming on.
Bye.
Cheers, Aparna. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. I don't. Yeah. I hope good old Music Harmony. He'll come back as another name now, probably.
Yeah, hopefully he comes back in the next one we do. I'm sure he'll take. I'm sure he'll take the Mickey and give us some stick, but he does that anyway. So if he is watching, then blame Norman. It's not always the Pom's fault.
I actually think that he's only blocked for this particular conversation.
Yeah.
I don't think he's blocked permanently.
Can we make? Well, yeah. I think there's a break at the moment. So should we? What did you want to do now in terms of the chat? We can always come back later on, or after, or tomorrow morning and discuss the rest of it.
This is only for an hour. We wanted to get a taste of what's happening. We couldn't be on for the 5-6 hours. It would have been ridiculous. So, guys, we might end this conversation now. We'll come back on at a stage, probably not tonight. Let it fester and let it mature, and we'll come back tomorrow with a recap of the full listings. How about that?
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
All right, we'll try and unblock Music Harmony in the process. And hang on, there is a comment from Sunny Singh about is this Dhoni's last IPL? You'd have to think so, but we don't know. Yeah,
he's had a good career, hasn't he? But I'm sure if that's what he said, I don't know for sure, but I'm sure Sunny's right. If that's what he said, that's what he said. So
yeah. All right, guys. We've had a good hit out. We've done a very good selection of players and the like. I think that we got into the meat of the sandwich, so to speak. There's a few lingering, but we'll get the rest of it. So thanks for your time, guys. This is Norman Kochnek on Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnek. Chris Vernon's been fantastic as ever. His Twitter handle is at VernVRN158. Mine's not J, it's at Norm, Koch. Please interact with us on Instagram and obviously Twitter, and clearly on this platform as well. And Music Harmony, if you do see this, I apologise, mate. I didn't have any intention. The button on this little iPhone was a bit too small for my liking. I'll work it out. I'll get you unblocked. All right, guys. Thanks for your time. Again, view, like, and share. Subscribe, share, view, whatever. Do whatever you can to keep this channel growing, which it is. Thank you very much, guys. Go the IPL. All right. All the best, Chris.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.